7 p.m. on a Tuesday, glowing like a neon sign in the darkness of our bedroom. Can't wait to feel you inside me again tomorrow. Troy makes me feel alive in ways Kyle never could. My wife Emily lay beside me, her phone buzzing with incoming messages she thought I couldn't see. But 20 years in IT security teaches you things about recovering deleted conversations that most people never learn. I'm Kyle Masters, 39 years old, and until that moment, I thought I was living the American dream in our pristine Dallas suburb. Two beautiful daughters, Sophie and Jenna, a mortgage on a 4-bedroom colonial, and a wife who sold million-dollar homes while I managed network security for a Fortune 500 company. The perfect facade was cracking, and I was about to discover just how deep the rot went. Emily stirred beside me, her auburn hair catching moonlight through our bedroom window. She'd been distant for months, always on her phone, taking mysterious girls' trips to Las Vegas, coming home with expensive jewelry she claimed were gifts from grateful clients. "Kyle?" she whispered, not opening her eyes. "You're breathing funny." "Just thinking about work," I lied, watching her phone screen light up again. Another message from Troy, another knife in my chest. The next morning, Emily bounced around our kitchen like she was auditioning for a cereal commercial. She wore a red dress that cost more than my monthly car payment, her makeup flawless despite claiming she'd barely slept. "Daddy, Mom's phone keeps buzzing," 8-year-old Jenna observed, spooning Lucky Charms into her mouth. "It's work, sweetie," Emily said quickly, snatching her phone from the counter. "Lots of important clients need my attention." I watched her fingers dance across the screen, typing responses to messages I couldn't see but could imagine. My coffee tasted like ash. "I'll be late tonight," Emily announced, not meeting my eyes. "Big showing in Plano. Might not be home until after midnight." Sophie, our 10-year-old, looked up from her homework. "Another late night? You've had like 6 this month." Emily's smile tightened. "Success requires sacrifice, honey. Someday you'll understand." After the girls left for school and Emily disappeared in her white BMW, I sat in my home office staring at my computer screen. 20 years of marriage, 2 kids, a shared life built on what I thought was mutual respect and love. All of it potentially built on lies. My phone rang. Derek Martinez, my best friend since college, and now a private investigator after leaving the police force. "You sound awful," Derek said without preamble. "What's wrong?" "I think Emily's having an affair." Silence stretched between us before Derek sighed. "What do you need me to do? Find out who Troy is and what's really happening on these Vegas trips." "I'll start today. Kyle, you sure you want to know?" I watched Emily's coffee mug sitting in the sink, lipstick stains on the rim like evidence of a crime. "I need to know everything." That afternoon, Emily's best friend Kim stopped by unexpectedly. Kim Henderson was the neighborhood gossip queen, a woman who collected secrets like baseball cards and traded them like currency. "Is Emily around?" Kim asked, her eyes bright with barely contained excitement. "Still at work. Can I help you with something?" Kim's smile faltered. "Oh, I just wanted to tell her about my conversation with Troy yesterday. He's such a charmer, isn't he?" My blood turned to ice water. "Troy? Emily's Vegas friend? The entrepreneur with the gorgeous Porsche? She's mentioned him, right?" I forced my expression to remain neutral. "Of course. What did you two discuss?" "He was asking about Emily's schedule when she'd be free for their next adventure. Very romantic, if you ask me. Though I suppose I shouldn't be telling you this." Kim's eyes gleamed with malicious delight. She knew exactly what she was doing. "No, it's fine," I managed. "Emily tells me everything." After Kim left, I called Derek again. "Troy Baxter," Derek said without preamble. 41 years old, drives a red Porsche Emergency, lives in a luxury apartment in downtown Dallas. Officially, he runs a digital marketing company. Unofficially, he's running romance scams on lonely women and laundering money through cryptocurrency. "And Emily?" "Kyle, you're not going to like this." "Tell me." "She's not just sleeping with him. They've been recording videos together and selling them on adult websites. Emily's gambling problem is worse than you think. She owes serious money to some very dangerous people in Vegas." The phone slipped from my hand, clattering onto my desk. Everything I thought I knew about my life was disintegrating in real time. That evening, Emily came home at 1:30 a.m., reeking of expensive cologne that wasn't mine. She slipped into bed thinking I was asleep, but I lay there staring at the ceiling until dawn, planning my next move. The confrontation came 3 days later, on a Saturday morning while the girls were at soccer practice. "We need to talk," I said. setting a manila folder on our kitchen table. Emily looked up from her phone, irritation flashing across her face. Can it wait? I'm coordinating a showing. No, it can't wait. Something in my tone made her look at me properly for the first time in months. I opened the folder and spread Derek's photographs across the table like a poker hand. Emily entering Troy's apartment building. Emily and Troy at a Vegas casino. Emily kissing Troy in the parking lot of an expensive restaurant. The color drained from Emily's face. Kyle, I can explain. Can you explain the gambling debts, the videos you've been making with him, the money you've been stealing from our daughter's college funds? Emily's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. I know about the OnlyFans account, Emily. I know about the blackmail scheme Troy's running. I know you're pregnant, and I know it's not mine. That last part was a calculated guess based on the timeline Derek had constructed, but Emily's expression confirmed it. She collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face. Kyle, please, I can explain everything. Then explain. Emily's confession took 2 hours and destroyed whatever remained of my faith in human nature. She'd met Troy 18 months ago during a real estate conference in Vegas. What started as a one-night stand evolved into something darker when Troy discovered Emily's gambling problem and offered to help her win back her losses. He said he had a system, Emily sobbed, mascara creating black rivers down her cheeks. He said we could make money together that no one would ever know. By filming yourself having closeness with him and selling it online? It was just supposed to be a few videos, just until I could pay back what I owed. But the gambling got worse and the debts kept growing, and Troy said we needed to expand our business. Our business? You mean your escort operation? Emily flinched. It wasn't like that. Troy said we were providing a service, helping lonely people feel connected. By scamming them out of their life savings? I didn't know about that part until later. By then, I was in too deep. I studied my wife's face, searching for any trace of the woman I'd married. How deep? $200,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. Jesus Christ, Emily, our house isn't worth much more than that. They're going to end me if I don't pay, Kyle. These aren't normal creditors. Troy knows people who make problems disappear. And the pregnancy. Emily's tears stopped abruptly. That's complicated. Uncomplicated. It's not Troy's. I figured that out already. Whose is it? A security guard at the Bellagio. Marcus something. I was drunk, and Troy was angry about a bad night at the tables. And this guy was nice to me. So you slept with him. It was one time, one stupid, meaningless time. I stood up, my chair scraping against the kitchen floor. Get out. Kyle, please. Get out of my house. Now. You can't throw me out. This is my home, too. Actually, I can. I pulled another document from the folder. Adultery clause in our prenup, remember? The one your lawyer insisted was just a formality? Turns out it's very enforceable in Texas. Emily's face went white. You can't do this to me. I have nowhere to go. Call Troy. I'm sure he'll take care of you. Troy won't answer my calls. He disappeared 3 days ago when Derek started asking questions around his building. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. Then you should have thought of that before you decided to destroy our family. Emily left that afternoon with 2 suitcases and a broken spirit. The girls took it better than I expected, probably because Emily had been absent from their lives for months anyway. Is Mommy coming back? Jenna asked that night as I tucked her into bed. I don't know, sweetheart. Would you want her to? Jenna considered this with the brutal honesty of childhood. Only if she stops being mean and starts acting like a mommy again. What do you mean, mean? She yells at us when her phone rings, and she's always sad, even when she's pretending to be happy. Sad people make other people sad. Out of the mouths of babes. Derek called the next morning with an update. Troy's in the wind, but I found something interesting. Emily's therapist, Dr. Rebecca Heller, has been feeding information about her patients to Troy. Apparently, he's been running romance scams on multiple women, using details from their therapy sessions to manipulate them. That's illegal, right? Extremely. I've got enough evidence to put both of them away for years. The question is, what do you want to do about Emily? I thought about my daughters, about the life we'd built, about the woman I'd loved who had apparently never existed. I want her to face consequences for what she's done, but I want to be the one who delivers them. Kyle, don't do anything stupid. I'm not going to hurt her, Derek. I'm going to do something much worse. What's that? I'm going to tell everyone the truth. The Westfield Elementary School Fall Festival was the social event of the season in our suburb, where soccer moms competed over who could organize the most elaborate bake sale, and fathers pretended to enjoy discussing their children's standardized test scores. I arrived early, carrying a laptop bag and wearing my best smile. Emily was there too, having convinced the school administration that she was still a Westfield parent in good standing. She'd been staying at a cheap motel since I'd kicked her out, but she'd managed to maintain her appearance for this public event. "Kyle," she approached me cautiously, "we need to talk about the girls' custody arrangement." "Do we? I thought you were too busy with your video career to worry about custody." Emily glanced around nervously. "Please don't make a scene. Not here." "I am not going to make a scene, Emily. I'm going to make a presentation." Her face went pale. "What?" "The PTA asked me to give a talk about internet safety for children. Seems very appropriate, don't you think?" Before Emily could respond, Principal Johnson called for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're fortunate to have Kyle Masters, our resident IT expert, speak to us about protecting our children online." I connected my laptop to the projector, Emily watching in growing horror as I opened my presentation. "Thank you, Principal Johnson. Today, I want to talk about how people we trust can betray that trust in the digital age." The first slide showed a generic stock photo of a family. Safe, non-threatening. Sometimes the danger doesn't come from strangers on the internet. Sometimes it comes from people in our own community, people who seem trustworthy but are living double lives. I clicked to the next slide, a screenshot of an OnlyFans profile, carefully cropped to hide explicit content but showing Emily's face clearly. Gasps rippled through the audience. Emily stood up, her chair falling backward. "This is my wife's profile on an adult website," I continued calmly. "She's been filming explicit videos with her lover and selling them online, using the money to fund a gambling problem that's put our family's financial security at risk." "Kyle, stop," Emily pleaded, but her voice was lost in the growing murmur of shocked parents. "But it gets worse. The man she's been working with, Troy Baxter, has been using information obtained illegally from a therapist to run romance scams on vulnerable women. My wife wasn't just his accomplice in adultery. She was his accomplice in fraud." I clicked to the next slide, showing bank records Derek had obtained through legal channels. $200,000. That's how much my wife has stolen from our children's college funds to pay gambling debts to criminals in Las Vegas. Emily was crying now, but I wasn't finished. "I'm sharing this not for revenge, but as a warning. Check your spouse's activities online. Monitor your bank accounts. Trust, but verify. Because sometimes the person sleeping next to you is a complete stranger." I closed the laptop and faced the stunned audience. "Thank you for your time. I hope this helps keep your families safe." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, Kim Henderson started clapping slowly and others joined in. Not applause for my presentation, but acknowledgement of my courage in exposing the truth. Emily fled the auditorium, her high heels clicking against the floor like firecrackers. But I wasn't done with her yet. The next phase of my revenge required more subtlety. I created anonymous social media accounts and began sharing Emily's story in local Facebook groups, Nextdoor forums, and real estate professional networks. Not the explicit details, I wasn't interested in sharing explicit material, but the financial crimes, the gambling problem, the betrayal of trust. Within a week, Emily's real estate license was under review. Her brokerage dropped her. Former friends crossed the street to avoid her. The social exile was complete and devastating. She called me sobbing. "Kyle, you've destroyed my life." "You destroyed your life, Emily. I just made sure people knew about it. I'm pregnant and homeless. Doesn't that matter to you? Call the security guard from Vegas. Maybe he'll take responsibility for his child. I can't find him. I don't even remember his last name." "Then I guess you should have been more careful about who you slept with." "Kyle, please, I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy, I'll get help for the gambling, I'll never see Troy again." "Troy's in federal custody, Emily. Derek's evidence put him away for wire fraud, money laundering, and identity theft. Your therapist is facing ethics charges and possible criminal prosecution. Your little criminal enterprise is finished. What about me? What about you? Are you going to have me arrested too?" I considered this. Emily had certainly committed crimes, fraud, theft, probably tax evasion, but she was also the mother of my children, and I wasn't interested in putting her in prison. "That depends," I said finally. "On what? On whether you disappear quietly or force me to make this worse for you." "Worse? How could it be worse?" "I still have the videos, Emily, the explicit ones. So far, I've been a gentleman about not sharing them. But if you try to fight me on custody, or if you try to claim any of our marital assets, or if you do anything to hurt our daughters, I'll make sure everyone you've ever met gets to see exactly what you've been doing." The silence stretched between us. "You're not the man I married," Emily whispered. "Neither are you the woman I married. The difference is I became someone better. You became someone worse." 3 weeks after the school presentation, Emily made one last desperate play. She showed up at my office building with two men I didn't recognize, demanding to see me. "Tell Kyle his wife needs to speak with him," she told the security guard. "It's an emergency." I came down to the lobby, curious about her endgame. Emily looked terrible, hollow-eyed, wearing clothes that were too big for her shrinking frame, her pregnancy barely showing. "Kyle, these are my friends from Vegas," she said, gesturing to the two men flanking her. "They want to discuss our debt situation." The larger man, built like a linebacker with hands that had clearly seen violence, stepped forward. "Your wife owes our employer money, a lot of money. We're here to collect." I looked at Emily with something approaching pity. "You brought loan sharks to my workplace? Really? Pay them, Kyle. Use the equity in the house, liquidate your 401k, whatever it takes. If you don't, they'll hurt me and the baby." "That's not my baby, Emily. And these aren't your debts." The smaller man spoke up. "Doesn't matter whose baby it is. Debts transfer to spouses in Texas." "Actually, they don't." I pulled out my phone and showed them a document. "Especially when the debt was incurred through illegal gambling and without the spouse's knowledge or consent. I've already filed for divorce and had all marital assets frozen pending the outcome." Emily's face crumpled. "Kyle, please." "But I'll make you gentlemen a deal," I continued, ignoring Emily. "I have evidence that my wife was part of a criminal enterprise run by Troy Baxter. Wire fraud, money laundering, identity theft. If your employer would like to recover his money, I suggest he contact the FBI about asset forfeiture from Troy's accounts." I handed them Derek's business card. "My friend here is a private investigator who worked the case. He can tell you exactly where Troy hid the money he stole from your boss." The two men exchanged glances. The larger one pocketed the card. "What about her?" he asked, nodding toward Emily. "What about her? She's broke, unemployed, pregnant with another man's child, and about to be homeless. You can't get blood from a stone." Emily grabbed my arm. "Kyle, you can't just abandon me." I looked down at her hand on my sleeve, then back at her face. "Watch me." The men left without another word. Emily collapsed onto a lobby chair, sobbing. "This isn't over," she said between tears. "I'll find a way to make you pay for this." "No, Emily, it is over. And you already have paid for it." That was the last time I saw my wife. 6 months later, I received divorce papers in the mail. Emily had signed everything without contest, accepting no alimony, no property settlement, and no custody rights. She'd disappeared completely, leaving behind only debts and damaged relationships. Derek found out later that she'd moved to Arizona, where she was working as a waitress under her maiden name. The baby had been born healthy and was being raised by Emily's sister, who'd agreed to take them both in. "Do you ever regret it?" Derek asked me over beers one Friday night. "Going scorched earth on her like that?" I thought about it seriously. No, she made her choices. I just made sure she faced the consequences. And the girls? Sophie and Jenna were thriving. Without Emily's constant drama and emotional instability, our house had become peaceful again. They asked about their mother occasionally, but seemed to accept that she was sick and couldn't take care of them right now. "They're better off," I said honestly. "We all are." My phone buzzed with a text from my neighbor. "Kyle, there's a red Porsche in your driveway. Thought you should know." I smiled and finished my beer. "Derek, want to help me deal with one last loose end?" We drove to my house to find Troy Baxter leaning against his car, looking like a man who'd been through a lot. Federal prison had not been kind to him. "Kyle Masters," he called out as I got out of my truck. "We need to talk." "I don't think we do. Your wife destroyed my life. Your wife destroyed her own life, and yours, and tried to destroy mine." Troy pushed off from his car, his hands clenched into fists. "She was supposed to keep you out of it. We had a good thing going until you stuck your nose where it didn't belong." "A good thing? You mean the fraud, the blackmail, the theft?" "I mean survival. Do you have any idea what it's like in federal prison for someone like me? Someone like you? Someone who made a living off of lonely women?" I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. "Troy, you have 30 seconds to get off my property before I call the police. I want Emily's contact information." I don't have it. Bees, you're her husband. Ex-husband. And even if I knew where she was, I wouldn't tell you. Troy took a step toward me, but Derek moved to intercept him. Bad idea, Derek said quietly. I'm armed, trained, and really looking forward to an excuse to use both. Troy looked between us, calculating odds he couldn't win. This isn't over, he said finally. Yes, it is. I pulled out my phone and showed him a video. Security cameras caught you threatening me just now. That's a violation of your parole. One call to your parole officer, and you're back in federal custody. Troy's shoulders sagged in defeat. He got back in his Porsche and drove away. I never saw him again either. 2 years have passed since Emily walked out of my life. The girls and I have settled into a routine that works for all of us. Sophie is excelling in middle school, Jenna has discovered a talent for art, and I've been promoted to senior security analyst at work. I've even started dating again, a kindergarten teacher named Sarah who thinks my daughters are wonderful and doesn't ask too many questions about my ex-wife. Last week, Derek called with news. Remember Dr. Rebecca Heller, Emily's therapist? The one who was feeding patient information to Troy? She just got sentenced. 5 years in federal prison, plus she has to pay restitution to all the victims of Troy's romance scams. How much? $3.2 million. I whistled. That's a lot of lonely hearts. Troy's sentence got extended too. Turns out he was running similar scams in 4 other states. He'll be in prison until he's 65. And Emily? Still in Arizona. Still working as a waitress, still raising that kid. Good for her. You mean that? I thought about it. Yeah, I do. She's finally facing reality instead of living in a fantasy world. Maybe that's what she needed all along. You're a better man than I am, Kyle. No, I'm just tired of being angry. Anger is exhausting. That night, as I tucked the girls into bed, Jenna asked me a question that caught me off guard. Daddy, do you think Mommy will ever come back? I don't know, sweetheart. Would you want her to? Only if she's different. Only if she's not sick anymore. What if she's never not sick? Then I guess we're better off without her. Out of the mouths of babes, indeed. The next morning, I received an unexpected package in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting on the label. Inside was a letter from Emily and a cashier's check for $50,000. Kyle, the letter read, I know this doesn't make up for what I did, but it's a start. I've been sober for 18 months and gambling free for 2 years. I'm in therapy with a real therapist this time, and I'm working 3 jobs to pay back everyone I hurt. This money represents everything I've been able to save. Please put it toward the girls' college funds. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday they'll understand that I love them, even when I was too sick to show it properly. I hope you find happiness. You deserve it, Emily. I stared at the check for a long time, then called Derek. She sent money, I told him. How much? $50,000. That's actually pretty impressive for a waitress. Derek, run a background check on Emily. I want to know what she's really been doing in Arizona. 3 days later, Derek called back with a report that surprised me. She's clean, Kyle, completely clean. Works at a diner 6 days a week. Takes online college courses at night. Volunteers at a domestic violence shelter on weekends. The kid is healthy and happy, living with Emily's sister, but spending time with Emily every day. She's been to exactly 0 casinos in 2 years. Any men in her life? None. She's focused entirely on getting her crap together. Interesting. What are you thinking? I'm thinking people can change if they want to badly enough. You thinking about letting her see the girls? I'm thinking about a lot of things. That weekend, I sat the girls down for a serious conversation. Your mom sent us some money for your college funds, I told them. Is she still sick? Sophie asked. She's getting better, much better. Does that mean she wants to see us? Jenna asked. I think she does, but only if you want to see her. The girls looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that siblings share. Can we think about it? Sophie asked finally. Of course. Take all the time you need. 2 weeks later, they gave me their answer. We want to see her, Jenna announced. But not alone. You have to come with us. And she has to promise not to lie to us anymore, Sophie added. And she has to promise not to leave again unless she tells us why, Jenna continued. Those are fair conditions, I agreed. I called Emily that night. She cried when I told her the girls wanted to see her and cried harder when I explained their conditions. I'll agree to anything, she sobbed. Kyle, thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. I'm not giving you anything, Emily. You earned this. The girls and I have been watching what you've been doing in Arizona. We're proud of how hard you've worked to get better. I have so much to make up for. Yes, you do. But maybe it's time to start. We arranged to meet in Dallas the following month. Emily would fly in for a long weekend, stay in a hotel, and spend supervised time with the girls. The night before her arrival, I had trouble sleeping. 2.5 years had passed since I'd discovered Emily's betrayal, since I'd systematically destroyed her life in response. I'd been justified in my anger, righteous in my revenge, but watching her fight her way back from rock bottom, seeing her choose the hard path of redemption over the easy path of self-pity, had changed something in me. Maybe Derek was right. Maybe I was a better man than I thought, or maybe I was just tired of carrying the weight of justified anger. Either way, tomorrow would be interesting. The reunion took place at a neutral location, the zoo, where the girls could focus on the animals if the conversation got too heavy. Emily looked different. Older, thinner, but somehow more solid than she'd been during our marriage. The frantic energy that had always surrounded her was gone, replaced by a calm steadiness I'd never seen before. "Hi, girls," she said quietly, kneeling down to their level. Sophie and Jenna approached cautiously, like they were meeting a stranger who happened to share their DNA. "You look different," Jenna observed with her usual bluntness. "I am different," Emily replied. "I'm healthier now." "Are you still sick?" Sophie asked. "I'll always be sick, honey, but now I take medicine for it, and I have doctors who help me stay well." "What kind of medicine?" "Meetings with other people who have the same sickness I do, and therapy with a doctor who helps me understand why I made bad choices." We spent 3 hours at the zoo. Emily didn't try to rush the reconnection or overwhelm the girls with affection. She answered their questions honestly, admitted her mistakes without making excuses, and respected their boundaries when they needed space. It was, I realized, the most mature I'd ever seen her behave. At the end of the visit, as we walked back to the parking lot, Jenna slipped her hand into Emily's. "I missed you, Mommy," she said quietly. Emily stopped walking and knelt down again, tears streaming down her face. "I missed you too, baby girl. Every single day. Are you going to leave again? I live in Arizona now, so I can't stay here. But I promise I'll never disappear again. I'll call you every week and visit as often as your daddy says it's okay." Jenna looked at me. "Is it okay, Daddy?" I looked at Emily, this woman who had been my wife, my enemy, and now something else. Someone who had fallen as far as a person could fall and clawed her way back to something resembling grace. "Yeah," I said finally. "It's okay." That night, after the girls were asleep, Emily and I sat on my back porch drinking coffee and talking like adults for the first time in years. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said quietly. "What I did was unforgivable." "People keep telling me I'm a better man than they are," I replied. "Maybe it's time I started acting like it." "Kyle, I'm not saying I forgive you, Emily. I'm not saying we can be friends or that I trust you completely, but I'm saying I can see that you've changed, and I respect the work you've put into changing. That's more than I deserve." "Maybe, but it's what our daughters deserve. They deserve a mother who's present and honest and healthy. If you can be that person, then we can figure out how to make this work." Emily wiped tears from her eyes. "I won't let you down again. Don't make promises you might not be able to keep. Just keep doing what you're doing, one day at a time." "One day at a time," she repeated. "That's what they teach us in the program." "Then keep going to the program." "I will." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to crickets and distant traffic. "Kyle," Emily said eventually. "Yeah? I'm sorry for all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it." "I know you are. And Emily?" "Yeah? I'm sorry too." "For what?" "For being so angry for so long. For making your punishment public and humiliating. I was justified, but that doesn't mean I was kind. You were protecting our children. I was protecting my pride too, and that part wasn't noble." Emily smiled sadly. "Look at us being all mature and crap." I laughed despite myself. "Language, Emily, the neighbors might hear. Some things never change. Some things do, though." "Yeah," she agreed. "Some things do." Emily flew back to Arizona the next morning, but not before promising the girls she'd call them that weekend. She kept that promise and every promise that followed. Over the next year, she visited 4 more times. Each visit went better than the last. The girls began to trust her again, slowly but surely. She began to trust herself. I began to trust that maybe, sometimes, people really could change. Not everyone gets a redemption story. Not everyone deserves one. But Emily had earned hers through 2 years of hard work, honest self-reflection, and consistent follow-through. And maybe, just maybe, I'd earned mine too. 6 months ago, Emily moved back to Dallas. Not to reconcile with me, that ship had sailed permanently, but to be closer to the girls. She rented a small apartment across town, found a job as a counselor at a gambling recovery center, and continued the slow work of rebuilding her relationship with her daughters. Last week, Sophie asked me if Emily could come to her 8th grade graduation. Of course, I said. She's your mom. Will it be weird for you? Probably, but good weird, not bad weird. What's the difference? Good weird means something that's strange but right. Bad weird means something that's strange and wrong. Is mom being back good weird or bad weird? I thought about it seriously. Good weird, definitely good weird. At the graduation ceremony, I watched Emily beam with pride as Sophie walked across the stage to receive her diploma. Sarah, my girlfriend, sat on my other side, holding my hand and whispering commentary about the other parents' outfits. It was complicated and messy and imperfect, but it was real. It was honest. It was a family that had been broken and rebuilt into something different but functional. After the ceremony, as we stood around taking pictures, Emily approached me. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for letting me be here. Thank you for becoming someone worth having here." Kyle? Yeah? I know we can never go back to what we were. No, we can't. But I'm grateful for what we are now. I looked around at our strange, blended, complicated family. Sarah chatting with Emily about Sophie's college plans, Jenna showing off her art portfolio to anyone who would look, Sophie hugging everyone in sight, giddy with accomplishment and possibility. "Yeah," I said finally. "Me too." And for the first time in 4 years, I meant it completely. As we walked to our cars, Jenna tugged on my sleeve. "Daddy? What, sweetheart? Are you happy?" I looked at my daughter's earnest face, then at the family we'd somehow managed to rebuild from the ashes of betrayal and revenge. "Yeah, Jenna, I'm happy." "Good," she said, satisfied. "Everyone should be happy," out of the mouths of babes.